Thiago Ávila is on the rolling wave, so we better connect to him while we still can. I know what it's like on the way to Gaza myself, but never by sea. Thiago, you are one of the modern day heroes who is repeatedly trying to breach the siege. The last one didn't end well. You're just trying and trying and trying again, intending that one day you will succeed? Or are you demonstrating the complete inability of the governments of the world to do anything at all? Is that the strategic purpose of these repeated convoys that you are leading?
Thank you so much, George, for having me here. It's actually an honor being with you. You do such an important work. And it's a privilege to be here with your audience as well. So dedicated and so sensitive to the Palestinian cause. I'm actually here at the boarding place of one of our missions. We have now the biggest solidarity mission ever. And the strategic goal is what you said. First of all, is to try to break this illegal siege of 18 years over Gaza and be in support and solidarity with the Palestinian people who have been suffering 8 decades of genocide and ethnic cleansing. That, like you said, structured itself into an apartheid colonial state, and which is led not by a religion, but by a racist and supremacist ideology called Zionism. And our goal is to be in solidarity with the Palestinian people by trying to break this horrific siege, and even when we don't break, by showing the cruelty that it involves and putting pressure on people so that governments can break their relations, stop the complicity, be a part of a political education process as well, to mobilize as part of this global uprising. I'm actually very proud and happy. I was in the UK, I was in London a few weeks ago mobilizing for this mission. And I was so happy because I said, I'm at a place on the global north which had the biggest mobilization for Palestine. So it was an honor being there with all of you. And I said, the demonstrations that you did in London and the demonstrations that happened in Amman and in Baghdad and so many countries that went over millions, these are also part of the same strategy. The demonstrations, the boycott, the flotillas, all of the actions that we try to do, the land convoys is part of the same goal, to be in solidarity with a people that is being suffering so much from imperialism, from Zionism. And of course, we need to continue going. The history of anti-colonial struggle is a history of persistence, that whenever the people, the indigenous people continue to struggle for freedom, they achieve this freedom. And this comes earlier when we have international solidarity side by side. So it's our duty to be doing this. Unfortunately, George, like I said, this mission didn't have to exist. It should be governments doing this. But since they're failing, we need to do our part. We will not abandon the Palestinian people like the governments are doing. So that's why we're doing this. And the same way that you're breaking the media blockade, bringing true information, we are on the same trench here for liberation and for humanity.
Amen. The model of convoys, I did it by land when it was comparatively easy compared to your seaborne attempts. I say comparatively easy. We were brutally attacked by the Egyptian regime, and that's something that hasn't changed with the change of president. But what they do, they provide a daily story. They provide a daily narrative that people can follow, that the media that is interested, and most of them are not, but some of them are, have something new daily to report, all of which draws attention to the siege. Now, one of the most significant things you said so far is that this siege has been going on for 18 years. It didn't begin on the 7th of October. Gaza has been besieged for 18 years. I know that because I was trying to break that siege 18 years ago. Is the media following the flotillas that you are organizing?
It's very curious to see the different response from the media, George, in every mission. So the first, these are the boats number 38, because the 37th boat was the Handala that tried to break the siege and was intercepted. The Madleen mission where I was, when it got intercepted, arrested, I went to Israeli prison, to solitary confinement. It was boat number 36. And now we have dozens of boats, more than all of the other boats combined. But we are in a situation that the flotilla now has the strategic aim to break the siege and also to create a people's humanitarian corridor. So that's why pretty much why we need to continue doing this. What I always say is that imagine how many days the media is trying to change the subject and not to show about Gaza, to talk about Gaza. They talk about Gaza to save face because they've been complicit with it for almost 2 years. So they say the minimum necessary, but always saying people died, not people have been killed by Israel. Sometimes they omit who made the offense, who did the offense, who did the crime, but and many of the times they just want to talk about something else. So our mission is pretty much the same. All the 37 boats, Netanyahu himself will say, those are Hamas terrorists bringing weapons to attack Israel. But the last two missions, they were so easy to understand that this was lies, and we live such a different moment where the Hasbara and the ideological lies and manipulation of the Zionists, they are not having the same effect as before, that he could not pull this up. So he changed the narrative. He tried to say it's a selfie boat. People are doing that to show off, which was already a victory for us because we need to remember that 4 months ago they bombed our boat in Malta. So they had to go from bombing a boat to a different strategy of intercepting a boat without using violence to pretend that they were not crew. And this was also because the media was already covering the mission, but they are not never very fair. They most of the time they focus on the participants. They will say we are not the story. The story are the Palestinian people. Any risk that we undertake on this mission is but a fraction of the risk that the Palestinian people go through every single day. And yes, of course, it demands courage, like you said, George. But what about being a Palestinian and living 8 decades of genocide? How much courage does it demand to go to look for aid in a besieged Gaza for almost 2 years? That is real courage. When you look at the Palestinian doctors, there are the nurses, the medical workers, the civil defense units. That's our model and inspiration. They're leading the way. So the media sometimes they distort our mission to reproduce the Zionist lie, to say it's self-vote or stuff like that. Other times they focus only on individuals, like a more liberal approach to that, and like if it was not an anti-colonial struggle and anti-systemic mobilization, a direct action. And some of the times they simply don't talk about it as well. They ignore. So we have a conflictive relation with media, but of course we have independent media to say the truth.
Yes, more and more important. And their hand is weaker than it was in the Mavi Marmara case over a decade ago now. They murdered 10 of the people on board the Mavi Marmara. They killed them in cold blood. My parliamentary assistant at the time was one of the people arrested by these murderers and taken to Ashkelon, which I presume was the jail that you were in. When they took you to that prison, did the Brazilian government do anything to get you free? I know that the American government did nothing to get Mr. Smalls out, and he suffered racist abuse and brutality.
Yeah, we have a degree of diplomatic support on our mission that we see that the global South countries are usually a bit more dedicated to attend to their participants on our mission, and some of the global North countries that are more supportive of the Palestinian cause, the ones that recognize the Palestinian state as well. But the other ones that are highly complicit, to be honest, they really don't care. So the U.S. authorities, they completely abandoned all of our participants, especially Chris, under that horrible racist case of abuse and violence, but all the other participants as well. So we had a situation that I was taken to solitary confinement because I was on a hunger and thirst strike, and because I was the coordinator, one of the organizers of the mission as well. So when I was there, they said I could not talk to any diplomatic envoy or anything else, but the Brazilian government was trying, as well as the Palestinian advocates, the lawyers, the attorneys that were there trying to get us out of there as soon as they could. So we see an effort, but when we look at the complicit countries, unfortunately, they completely abandon people, the same way that they still have the courage to send bombs or to provide diplomatic cover to the Zionist regime.
Now, the tactic has been a very good tactic to get high-profile people on these voyages, which is not easy. Not easy to get people of advanced years, not easy to get people that can leave their work for weeks to do this, not easy to get people who can bear the depredations of a boat trip. It's not exactly a cruise liner that you're on. Are you running out in any way of well-known volunteers, or have you got any up your sleeve for the next one?
Actually, now, George, we are at the eve of the biggest solidarity mission ever attempted since the horrific siege started. So imagine, we have more boats than all the other boats combined. We have more participants than all the other participants combined. And we have more parliamentarians confirmed, for example, than all the other missions combined as well. So we are going on a very, very strong mission right now because and it's not even because we want, but it's because the situation in the ground, the full invasion of Gaza City, the complete destruction of all lifeline in Gaza demands us to do that. The sense of urgency needs to be the highest for any human being on this planet. So people are aware. We have a social majority in a planet of 8 billion people that knows that starving children to death is wrong, bombing hospitals, schools, shelters, but they don't see that they have the means to change stuff because they don't control the nation states, the government, the complicit governments. So right now we're calling on a global rise up that we need to not only go on the boat missions, but we need to mobilize in the streets because now is the decisive moment for the Palestinian people. So that's why we have such a huge mission. It's not because we want it. To be honest, we wanted all people to be able to live fair and free and equal, and we didn't have to mobilize for this. We all have families. I'm a father of a 2-year-old baby daughter. I wish I was home. But how can I go home knowing that other 2-year-olds are starving to death? Right here with the whole world watching the first televised genocide of human history. So we need to mobilize our duty to do so.
Amen to that. How can people support your work, Thiago? How do they contact you?
Thank you, George. To support the mission, you go to globalsumutflotilla.org or follow our social media pages, Global Sumut Flotilla. There you'll see a lot of call to action. To go to demonstrations while we are at sea, to demand and pressure the governments for a safe passage, to spread the word as well, so the algorithms of this horrible big techs will not be able to silence us as well. Visibility for a mission means safety. The most visible we are, the less likely is for Israel to pay the political cost of killing all of us, which of course is what they would like to do. But if they don't have the capacity to pay this political cost, they will have to deal with it in a different way. And we want to be so big and so organized and put so much pressure that the only thing that they can do is not to intervene and stay out of our way for us to get to Gaza, which is what the International Court of Justice demands that they do. They don't stop any humanitarian mission to Gaza, and we finally can create a humanitarian corridor. So we are not counting only on the boat mission, George. Now we're counting on you. We're counting on everyone who is online, everyone who's on the streets. We need to do this together. The boats are not more important than the land work, than the media work. We all, as humanity, we need to move right now.